You are listening to the Elite Sports Show with your host, Knoxville's own Sam Moore. Alright, what's happening, guys? It is February 12th, 2018. We're going to jump into some NBA scores from last night. We see, we had the Raptors at the Hornets. That one, I think we talked about that one a little bit on yesterday's episode. That game ended up being a Raptors win like we predicted, 123-103. We'll take a look at the box score, get you some stat lines. Highest scorer for the Raptors, DeMar DeRozan, had 25 points, 10 for 19 from the field, 3 for 6 from three-point line, and 2 for 2 on free throws. Highest scorer for the Hornets, Kemba Walker. He had 23 points, 7 for 17 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, 5 for 6 from free throw line. He had 9 assists, so he was almost to a double-double. Speaking of, actually, Dwight Howard had a triple-double, 17 points, 12, or no, sorry, looking at that wrong. He did have a double-double, 17 points, 13 rebounds, 7 or 11 from the field, and 3 for 4 from the free throw line. Moving on, we had the Hawks defeating the Pistons at home, 118-115. Looking at the box score, so we had Blake Griffin, 7 for 21 from the field, 3 for 10 from 3, 6 for 6 at the free throw line. He ended up finishing with 23 points. Highest score for the Clippers, Andre Drummond, 8 for 14, 9 for 13 from the free throw line, 15 rebounds, 25 points for Drummond. And the highest scorer for Atlanta, Dennis Schroeder, had 23 points, shooting 7 for 13 from the field, and 9 for 12 from the free throw line. Moving into the other games, Cavs beat the Celtics in Boston, kind of raining down on the Paul Pierce parade. First game for the Cavs with that new team after all that trade deadline craziness they had going on. So it's a big game for the Eastern Conference. Celtics still fine where they are. The Cavs are trying to get back up there in the standings in the Eastern Conference. Try to get a higher seed, maybe some home court advantage throughout the playoffs. Pacers beat the Knicks at home, 121-113. The Rockets beat the Mavs at home as well, 104-97. Timberwolves beat the Kings, 111-106. Thunder beat the Grizzlies, 110-92 at home. And the Jazz beat the Trailblazers on the road, 115-96. Damian Lillard dropped 39 points in that game, and they still lost. A lot of people are talking about Damian Lillard leaving Portland in free agency. I think he's a free agent this offseason. I don't know about that. I just don't know how I feel about that. I don't think Dame would leave. I think he enjoys being in Portland. He knows it's his team, especially since LaMarcus Aldridge left for the Spurs. I don't see any reason why he would leave. It just wouldn't make any sense to me. But looking on throughout the rest of the NBA, the Paul George, LeBron James talks to the Lakers. I don't know if that will actually go down. I could definitely see Paul George going, but as far as LeBron, I feel like him leaving Cleveland again would really tarnish his legacy, especially with the way he left him the first time. And if he were to leave him again in sort of the same fashion in the offseason, I understand he got him a championship finally. But leaving like that again, I feel would really tarnish his legacy. But you never know. We'll see this offseason. I don't know. I don't really see LeBron leaving the Cavs, especially with as much as the front office in Cleveland has done for him at the trade deadline this year to try to make the team younger, a little better. I really like the addition of George Hill on that team, Jordan Clarkson. I think those are really good additions to that team. I think they really play well with Cleveland's play style. I think they'll do fine with George Hill and Jordan Clarkson, but. Looking forward to tomorrow's games in the NBA. We got the Pelicans at the Pistons. 7 o'clock start time for that, Eastern time. Knicks at the 76ers, 7 o'clock as well. At 7:30 Eastern, we have the Clippers taking on the Nets in Brooklyn. 8 o'clock, Magic at the Bulls. 9 o'clock, Spurs at the Jazz. and the primetime game on NBA TV, 10:30 p.m. Got the Suns at the Warriors, so that should be a blowout. There's not really a marquee game tomorrow. Um, it's always fun to watch the 76ers with Joel, so I'll probably try to check out that Sixers Knicks game. Um, I don't know. There's not really a lot of games that I think will be too good. Utah's on a bit of a hot streak right now. Uh, so I like to see how they match up against the Spurs at home. I think that'll be a decent game to watch. I don't think that game's on national TV, so I'll have to try to find some way to watch that game if I can. But I would like to watch that one. I want to see how the Jazz match up with the Spurs. Um, yeah, we'll go ahead and move into NCAA men's basketball. Cincinnati and SMU. Cincinnati beats SMU on the road 76-51 pretty handily, so they're continuing their reign of terror over the American Athletic Conference. They moved to 23-2 overall with a 12-0 record in the American Conference, and SMU falls to 15-10 with a 5-7 conference record. Cincinnati's looking really good, and like we said yesterday when Tony was on, I don't think a lot of people really expected Cincinnati to be this good. At least not me. Maybe a few people did see it coming. I don't know. It's just not a team that I follow that much, so I just guess I just didn't really expect them to do this well this year. But they really are doing. I mean, they're 23-2, so obviously they're doing great. I'd be interested to see where they go once we get into tournament season. I fully expect them to win the American Athletic Conference, the tournament. Obviously, they're going to take the regular season conference title, but I want to see how they do in the NCAA tournament. I think that would be a fun team to watch in March. But moving on, we've got number 9 Duke traveling to Atlanta to take on Georgia Tech, and they beat them 80-69. So they bounced back after a couple of rough losses, St. John's and North Carolina. I didn't watch this game, but I did look at some highlights. Duke looked a lot better. I think it's against Georgia Tech. I don't know. Let's see who Duke's got on their schedule for the rest of the year. So they've got games against they got Virginia Tech, Clemson, Louisville, Syracuse for Virginia Tech again, and North Carolina again. I'll be looking forward to that Clemson game and the North Carolina game, of course, and the Virginia Tech game. They just beat Virginia the other day, so that we'll see how they do against Virginia Tech. That game's on the 14th, so that'll be on Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, that game will be on Wednesday, so we'll see how they do against Virginia Tech. That game's at home, and they play them again on the road on the 26th. So we'll see how Duke does against those. But at Michigan and Wisconsin, 83-72. I think that game, when we recorded yesterday, was almost over. So we've got the final score now for that one. It's a 83-72 win for Michigan on the road at Wisconsin. Michigan moves to 20-7 overall, 9-5 in the Big Ten, and Wisconsin falls to 11-16, 4-10 in the Big Ten. I haven't looked at much on this, but looking at the Big Ten standings, you've got Ohio State first, 13-1, Michigan State second, 12-2, Purdue 12-2. So I got a two-way tie for second place between Michigan State and Purdue. I believe Purdue holds the tiebreaker over Michigan State. I may be wrong on that. I can't remember. I can't remember. But I think Purdue has the tiebreaker over Michigan State. But anyway, fourth, Nebraska 10-4, Michigan in fifth at 9-5, Penn State 8-6, Indiana 7-7, Northwestern 6-7, Maryland 6-8, and then it doesn't really matter after that. But we'll go ahead and look at some games that are coming up tonight. There's only 2 tonight. At 7 o'clock on ESPN is Notre Dame at number 21, North Carolina. Well, there's only 2 top 25 games, that is. And at 9 o'clock is TCU traveling to West Virginia to take on the 19th ranked Mountaineers. So this will be some... that Notre Dame North Carolina game seems like it would be a good game. I know Notre Dame's not the best. They don't have the best team this year. But I still think it'll be a fun game. And TCU's kind of fallen off as the year has progressed. They started off the year really hot, but now they're starting to sputter. They're sitting at a 17-8 record. They were like a a top 10 team at one point, but they just got into Big 12 play and just started getting demolished by these teams. But it still should be a good game. I don't think TCU is a bad team. I just don't think they're as good as a lot of people may have thought they were at the beginning of the year. We'll move into hockey scores and going to get this one wrapped up. And I have a lot to talk about today. Not a lot happened yesterday. We'll get into some NHL scores. Had the Penguins defeat the Blues 4-1. We talked about that yesterday. Red Wings beat the Caps in overtime 5-4. Haven't talked to Tony about that one, but I'll have to talk to him about that later today. The Rangers beat the Jets 3-1 on the road. Canucks beat the Stars 6-0 on the road. I thought Dallas was going to take that game, but boy, was I wrong. Avalanche beat the Sabres on the road 5-4. Bruins beat the Devils on the road 5-3. Flames beat the Islanders 3-2 on the road. Flyers beat the Golden Knights 4-1 on the road. And Sharks beat the Ducks in a shootout 3-2. So not a lot of really big games as far as division standings go. I mean, a Bruins win is really good to try to catch up to the Lightning. A Golden Knight loss may be good for the guys in the Pacific. I'm not looking at those standings right now. I'll see if I can get them pulled up, see if that helps anyone out, really. Not really. So San Jose is at 68 points in the playoffs, and Vegas is still at 76. So they've got a pretty good lead ahead of them. I don't know. Vegas is. I feel like they're definitely going to win the Pacific. They'd have to fuck up a lot, and San Jose would have to get really lucky to catch up. Calgary's not too far behind San Jose. They're at 66 points. Actually, between second, third, fourth, between second and fifth place, there is only a 3-point difference between fifth place and second place. So San Jose, Calgary, the Kings, Anaheim, and Edmonton all have, or not Edmonton, sorry, San Jose, Calgary, LA, and Anaheim are all pretty much in a battle for second place. But Vegas has got first place locked up at this point, I think. It'd be a good finish to see who gets the second place finish in the Pacific, because I don't think anyone's going to take that first place spot from Vegas. It's just crazy to me that in that team's first year in the league, they're doing so well and really just dominating that division. I didn't expect that. I don't think a lot of people expected that. But yeah, it's interesting to see. But we got 3 games on tonight. We got the Lightning and Maple Leafs at 7 p.m. Florida Panthers taking on the Oilers at 9 p.m. and the Blackhawks taking on the Coyotes at 9 p.m. If I had to pick some wins, I'd have the Lightning over the Maple Leafs, Oilers over the Panthers, and the Blackhawks over the Coyotes. And that's how the lines are looking, except for the Panthers-Oilers game, where I have the Panthers over the Oilers. The line is Edmonton with a line of 140 or minus 140. So for the most part, I think these games will go as expected. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be too many surprises. Not much news yesterday. I mean, I'll check again, see if anything has come out, but I didn't see anything real crazy. If you haven't seen Paul Pierce's jersey retirement video, you need to go watch that, because as a lifelong Celtics fan, that was a really nice thing to watch. Paul Pierce is one of my favorite players, and getting to see KG there and Rondo and Doc being there again, and put a smile on my face, brought me back to some good times. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was a really good time. KG is my favorite player of all time, so getting to see him in Boston again, like the way he was really nice. Somehow he keeps his the hood from his hoodie is like glued to his head. It stayed on for the whole night somehow. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, that's all the news that really came out yesterday. Basically just score updates, no real news today. Actually, there was some news. Almost forgot about this. So San Francisco 49ers linebacker Reuben Foster was arrested for the second time this month for domestic violence and assault with a deadly weapon. Let's see, what was it? domestic violence, threats, and possession of assault weapon. So I thought it was assault with a deadly weapon, but it was possession of assault weapon. So I read that wrong. Yeah. 49ers, from what I can see, haven't announced anything. They're going to release them. I think they should. It's not a good look, especially with the way the NFL is wanting to distance themselves from domestic violence and stuff like that. But and if you don't remember, he was arrested last January. It was the middle of January. He was arrested with possession of marijuana. So it wasn't this month. He's been arrested twice within a month, not just this month. But yeah, he got arrested last month with possession of marijuana. I think it was middle of January. January 13th jumps out at me for some reason. I think it may have been January 13th. But yeah, he's been arrested twice in a month's time, which is insane. The marijuana thing, I think that the 49ers were willing to overlook that. But this domestic violence thing, if the 49ers don't release him, the NFL is going to suspend him, I would imagine, which would be the smart thing to do if they really want to prove that they're trying to distance themselves from this domestic violence stuff, because it's a really bad look for the league, and they had a really bad problem with it a couple of years ago, and I don't think they want that to come up again. The Colts sign Frank Reich from the Eagles offensive coordinator, finally get a head coach after Josh McDaniels backs out over Super Bowl weekend, or the week following the Super Bowl. They announced that Josh McDaniels had agreed to terms to become the head coach, and then he backs out. And then yesterday, the Colts fired Eagles offensive coordinator Frank Reich to become the new Colts head coach. Which I guess I should go ahead and address that is my NFL team of choice, is the Indianapolis Colts. So I think it's a good hire. I don't know. Eagles offense looked really good in the Super Bowl. They looked really good all year. The way they bounced back from that Carson Wentz injury and bringing in Nick Foles, and they didn't really seem like they missed a step. I mean, obviously they won the Super Bowl with their quote unquote backup quarterback, but I think it's a really good hire for the Colts. I think they'll do well. We'll see how it goes. They still got a lot of ways to go. You got to get an offensive line to protect that quarterback, because if you don't have an offensive line, it doesn't matter who you put under center. They're not going to be able to do much. But yep, that's all I've got for you today. Hopefully we'll have a better news day to later today, leading into tomorrow. Yep, that's all I got for you today. Signing off, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Thank you. Peace.
Playing for the fame, my swag is the only game. Never add water, that shit will drive you insane. Moving up the ladder, to me your shit doesn't matter. Your chick might be bad, but I bet my chick is better. Show you who I'm reppin', nigga, throwing up Knoxside. And my nigga Snapback coming in from the north side. Handing out shots on the street, come and get a hit. Then I take your bitch to my place and she let me hit. Blunt rolled up, take a puff and I pass it down. All my niggas with me, 865, that's my hometown. Young Doc on the track, I ain't sippin' on Kool-Aid. That shit's for pussies, I live life on a high grade. Wake up every day ready to bring on the rain. Knoxville in my blood, flowing all through my veins. No room for pussy rappers, always trying to fit in. Say what you want, cause all we do is win. Wake up every day ready to bring on the rain. Knoxville in my blood, flowing all through my veins. No room for pussy rappers, always trying to fit in. Say what you want, cause all we do is win.
All we do is win. All we do is ball. Bring the rain, 250, I let it out. What the fuck you mean? I do this for real. Young Doc got the Glock, he shooting the kill. Lil Knox ain't the spot, we shooting that wheel. Rolling up
always trying to fit in. Say what you want, cause all we do is win. Throw the deuces up to bitches, I don't play with fucking cinches. Turn your back on me and I promise that there won't be a witness. Say what you want in your lyrics, I bet no one will hear it. My entire fan base is based on all your critics. Take a shot at the title and see who's at the top. I might not be there yet, but try and make me stop. Say hasta la vista, baby, like I was a Terminator, and I just keep getting bigger like I am a Schwarzenegger. Come at me and you in danger, I'm no pimp, I'm just a player. A snap of my fingers and all my niggas annihilators. I put this pen on the paper and pull my head towards the clouds and imagine the day that I'm in front of a giant crowd. Wake up every day ready to bring on the rain. Knoxville in my blood, flowing all through my veins. No room for pussy rappers, always trying to fit in. Say what you want, cause all we do is win. Wake up every day ready to bring on the rain. Knoxville in my blood, flowing all through my veins. No room for pussy rappers, always trying to fit in. Say what you want, cause all we do is win.